Hello and thank you for joining us. I'm Cody Proctor. This is the KREM 2 News Week in Review, where each weekend we bring you headlines from the past week in the Inland Northwest. Let's get started with one of the biggest news stories of the past few days.
A bill discussed this week could limit how Washington cities handle public camping. It's co-sponsored by two of Spokane's legislators, a point of frustration for city leaders who say the bill doesn't reflect the direction Spokane is going.
What if Spokane couldn't enforce its public camping law at all? House Bill 2489 could restrict how cities like Spokane enforce public camping laws.
I'm incredibly concerned about this bill.
City Council member Michael Cathcart was part of the unanimously approved Safe and Accessible Spaces ordinance passed in October. It allows police to issue citations for camping or blocking sidewalks and other public spaces. But House Bill 2489 would change that. If passed, Spokane police couldn't ticket, cite, or move someone for camping unless the city can prove there was adequate shelter space available at that time. That shelter would have to be free, allow pets, partners, possessions, accommodate disabilities, and be inside city limits. If the city can't prove that, enforcement could be blocked and it could face lawsuits.
To me, this bill is not in any way, shape, or form reflective of the direction that the City of Spokane citizens want to go, City of Spokane leadership wants to go.
Councilmember Paul Dillon shared a statement saying city leaders are watching the bill closely. He also believes these decisions are best made at the city level. Since the city's public camping law went into effect, the Spokane Police Department says it issued nearly 700 unlawful camping-related citations. That's nearly 500 more citations compared to the same time frame the year before.
I just yesterday heard Chief Hall say that he is believes that what we're doing now is actually starting to work from his perspective. And to implement something like this, I know would definitely throw a wrench in, what we have going that's working.
Cathcart plans to formally oppose the state bill by adding it to the city's legislative agenda, allowing Spokane to lobby against it. He says if the legislative committee doesn't act, he'll take the issue directly to the full city council.
Now, I've reached out to Spokane's legislators about this bill. I'll share their response when we hear back and keep you updated on the bill's progress. Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
A Spokane teen is behind bars after stealing a beanie like this and pepper spraying the owner of Petunia and Loomis right here behind me.
In downtown Spokane on Howard Street.
It was scary. It was a scary situation.
Jesse McCauley, the owner of Petunia and Loomis,
And then I also have a few in some of the other cases too.
found himself trying to stop a teenager from shoplifting yesterday afternoon.
So I walked up to him and just said, hey, you took something from my store and I want it back, and I kind of reached for it. And the next thing I knew, I was getting sprayed in the face with pepper spray.
He says the situation was even scarier knowing he wasn't alone in the store.
My daughter was with me at our store, which is a common thing for our kids to hang out with us at our store, so I was worried about her safety.
The Spokane Police Department says the teen was quickly arrested and charged with first-degree robbery and third-degree theft.
I just think that businesses deserve to feel safe, customers deserve to feel safe, and instances like this shouldn't happen.
McCauley says he is still feeling the effects of the spray, but he is happy to be back at work. He adds that the worst part of this whole situation was not that a beanie was stolen, but rather that this all happened on his birthday.
Not exactly how I wanted to spend my birthday.
The teen is expected to be in court for her arraignment on the 28th.
And although it was an unfortunate situation, McCauley says that it hasn't deterred his love for downtown, and he hopes it doesn't for anybody else as well. In Spokane, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Are you asking to address bond without him present?
Yes, Your Honor.
In a more than 20-minute-long out-of-custody arraignment, 23-year-old suspect Armando Torres Hernandez did not appear due to an involuntary commitment at a local hospital where he's receiving mental health treatment. According to court documents, he's accused of making deadly threats made against members of two LDS churches in Spokane and Cheney. On January 10th, a witness and one of the congregation's leaders, according to court docs, was told that Torres Hernandez, who had previously attended church services, was stalking some of its female members. As a result, a church leader contacted him and said he was no longer allowed to attend services. An affidavit of facts reveals another witness and member of the church having a conversation with Torres Hernandez, saying he had thoughts to shoot and bomb LDS church members and wrote those thoughts down in a journal. Since then, he's been incarcerated on a designated crisis responder hold after authorities were concerned he would harm himself and/or others. During Wednesday's arraignment, the judge determined Torres Hernandez should be released from custody on a 90-day less restrictive hold, referred to as an LRA. From there, he'll be released from custody and live with his family, but will have to undergo court-ordered mental health treatment.
And being on the LRA is a much better approach than keeping him incarcerated where he's not going to get that kind of help.
The judge also clarified the order he signed will only go into effect if Torres Hernandez agrees with the LRA. The spokesperson for the LDS Church's congregations released a statement on the situation, saying, "The church is working closely with local authorities as they pursue their investigation. Questions may be directed to local law enforcement." The suspect's next out-of-custody arraignment is scheduled for February 4th at 9 a.m. Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
As we go to break, here's a check of your forecast. Welcome back to the KREM 2 News Week in Review. It has been a busy week all across the Inland Northwest, so let's catch you up on some of the news you might have missed.
If the state doesn't take Spokane's multi-year phase-in plan to comply with the CCA, whatever you're paying for a trash can like this could potentially go up by 20%.
The simple act of taking out the trash is becoming a complex issue the city of Spokane is trying to solve.
We're frustrated too.
Marlene Feist, the city's public works director, says Spokane has been working for the last couple legislative sessions to comply with the CCA.
We're the only community in the state of Washington whose solid waste disposal system falls under the Climate Commitment Act. All the other communities use a landfill as their disposal option.
So then why not use a landfill instead? Feist says it was decided back when the facility was created in the early 90s that it would be better for the community, especially with the abundance of other natural resources like our aquifer.
And so citing a landfill above that clean water source makes absolutely no sense. It didn't then, and it still doesn't today.
The city's now asking the state's House Energy and Environment Committee not to be exempt from the Climate Commitment Act, but instead get some no-cost credits initially as they work on a multi-year plan to successfully install carbon copy technologies that comply with the CCA. If the state doesn't accept the city's plan, Spokane would have to buy credits that offset its emissions, totaling about $8 million for the 100,000 metric tons the facility emits every year. That's where the potential 20% bill increase comes into play.
We know that our community makes less. Their median household income in our area is less than the rest of the state. It's less than the nation. And so we recognize that this can be a burden.
A decision is expected to be made here in the next few months. Now, if it's not agreed upon, residents should expect to see that price increase as soon as next year. In Spokane, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
By this time next month, this building behind me might be completely gone. Spokane Public Schools says they are on track with the Adams Elementary School project, which means demolition in February and new construction as soon as March.
Right now, students are at a temporary campus since they returned from winter break, so that demolition can begin now that the project is fully funded.
That's gone really well, and now we're beginning the process of abatement and salvage leading to demolition. That'll happen over the months of January and February, when we're hoping that by the end of March we'll be ready to start new construction.
Although abatement and salvage isn't as exciting as visible demolition, it is a necessary legal first step and marks the official start of the process.
Teams are going through doing that work right now. That's primarily district staff. That will then transition to a contractor who will finalize that work, and they'll start the demolition process probably sometime in February.
Adams Elementary is the oldest school in Spokane. Among other issues with security and condition, the current building also is not compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act, requiring students in need of ADA accommodations to transfer to other elementary schools. Spokane Public Schools has been trying to rebuild Adams Elementary for several years now, and funding was finally secured after the Spokane Public Schools bond passed in 2025.
The Spokane Public Schools says the project is expected to be completed for the 2027-2028 school year. Reporting from Adams Elementary, Caitlin Galloway, KREM 2 News.
Well, the move adds to ongoing staffing shakeups following the September resignation of former Administrative Officer Alicia Thompson. Now we're learning more about the circumstances surrounding Thompson's departure.
Well, documents show Spokane Regional Health District Administrative Officer involuntarily resigned after significant performance concerns expressed by the Board of Health. Thompson had only been in the position for less than 2 years. Internal investigations show that although Thompson's self-reviews reflected exceptional or meeting standards, claims were made stating the workplace culture was hostile. Through public records obtained by KREM 2, we found 2 anonymous letters to the Board of Health, statements describing employees feel targeted and bullied, bringing a sense of anxiety and dread to the office. In those letters, both the administrative officer and the director of human resources are named. At this time, it is unclear whether any action was taken to address the claims against the human resources director. Documents do show the administrative officer Thompson was subject to an official Office for Civil Rights complaint. Allegations were associated with behavior as hostile and demeaning towards staff. Now, I asked SRHD if these staffing and leadership changes have impacted the work SRHD does in the area.
I think there's just a lot of people here that come to work every day to help our community be safe and healthy. Work continues here at the health district. We continue to have our divisions out inspecting restaurants or responding to.
Now, SRHD also told me they have received applicants for the new administrative officer, but they still do not have a firm timeline on when those next steps will happen. As for now, for those 2 employees that are being put on leave, we are still learning more. I'm reporting in the newsroom, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
Thanks for joining KREM 2 News this weekend. I'm Cody Proctor. Right now, we're taking a look back at some of the news stories from the past week in this edition of the KREM 2 News Week in Review.
A Washington state judge has tossed a lawsuit filed by Sig Sauer. The New Hampshire gunmaker's suit targeted the State Police Academy, the Washington Criminal Justice Training Commission. As the King 5 investigators reported last year, the Academy banned SIG's popular police handgun, the P320, concerned that the weapon fires on its own even while holstered. The Police Academy's investigation started with this incident in which a P320 fired on the range. An instructor said the recruit did not pull the trigger. No injuries here in Washington, but in other states, police officers and civilians have been seriously hurt. In its Thurston County lawsuit, Sig Sauer said the Police Academy did not follow the proper procedures and that its ban harmed the company's reputation. The Attorney General's office successfully argued the Academy had no obligation to consider the interest of a corporation when contemplating the safety of the gun. The judge dismissed the case, saying Sig Sauer had no standing to file suit. The ban has forced several Washington police agencies to transition to other model firearms so their recruits can train at the state's only police academy. Sig Sauer has always said that its gun is safe, that it can't fire without a trigger pull. The company did not respond today to our messages seeking comment.
Enough is enough. Sex buyers cause harm. We are asking you to do something. The World Cup is coming. Something must be done.
There's a push by lawmakers and leaders across Western Washington to strengthen laws around sex trafficking and buying sex. House Bill 2526 would bump up the penalty for paying for sex from a simple misdemeanor to a Class C felony, the lowest felony classification.
What we're trying to do in this bill is to dampen the market for buying sex.
It would also double the fines. That money goes towards survivor services and law enforcement investigations.
Right now, our state's laws are constructed in a way that provides avenues for stopping individual traffickers while simultaneously allowing trafficking as a system to thrive.
Advocates told the House Community and Safety Committee this is a necessary move.
The majority were trafficked into it. The majority never received trauma-informed therapy. The majority do not want to be there, and the majority cannot be here today because they are still being controlled and exploited.
However, several sex workers testified against the bill, saying it would not help them and believe it would only hurt them.
If you care so much about workers being exploited, please address the abysmal cost of living. That is what drives many to the streets. Ask yourself why we must be classified only as either victims or criminals. If you truly do see us as victims, then please listen to us sincerely before passing legislation that can actually harm us further.
Democratic State Representative Chris Stearns, a sponsor of the bill, says he wants it to pass to help women of color who are disproportionately impacted by sex trafficking.
It is such an important thing, and it affects Native Americans and Black and brown people at such high disproportionate rates that it really is killing us. How can we stop this? We're just losing too many people.
Welcome back. Before we wrap up this edition of the KREM 2 News Week in Review, we want to remind you that you can get the latest newscasts and weather forecasts anytime on KREM 2 Plus. It's free to watch and download for Roku, Amazon Fire, and on Apple TV. Now here's one more story before we go.
A sea of blue and green. Fans cheering on their favorite team, but they're not in the Hawks' nest or even in the Pacific Northwest. They're in Los Angeles County, where the Rams call home.
It feels good. It feels good, walking around LA with your Seahawks stuff on, feeling proud.
Cedric Morris has been flying the 12 flag into enemy territory for more than 20 years, hosting watch parties at Backstage Bar and Grill in Culver City.
You have a lot of people that come from Seattle that have heard about it. And they'll come in and they'll be like, man, this is like the best place I've ever been to, even, inside Seattle, you know what I'm saying?
Man, when you win and you're in enemy territory, it is one of the best feelings on the planet.
Ballard native, now North Hollywood resident Anna Kraftchick knows it well. She watched Week 16's win over the Rams from another packed Hawks bar in LA.
I screamed so loud and jumped up so fast that I quite literally fainted when the game ended. So you can imagine I was very excited.
She's hoping to recapture that feeling this Sunday, a rivalry rematch with a Super Bowl trip on the line.
Lots of excitement and lots of anxiety. And I'm assuming it'll be like right down to the final minutes, if not an overtime game.
Neither Anna nor Cedric can make it back to Seattle for the game, but both have one message for the 12s this weekend.
Final thoughts are go Hawks. Let's go. We got the Super Bowl. It's ours.
Go Hawks. That's it. That's simple. Go Hawks. And I expect to hear a Go Hawks back.
Reporting for King 5 News, I'm Brady Wakayama.
Thank you for spending part of your weekend with us on the KREM 2 News Week in Review. Be sure to keep it here on KREM 2 for more news and weather updates. I'm Cody Proctor. Thanks for watching.